And Casey's with Hanghold Capital Management. Casey, let's talk about budgeting here and the government and all that. As you say, it sounds kind of oxymoronic, but they passed a rule for themselves called PAYGO, where you have to learn how to pay for things as you propose those programs. Whatever happened to that?
Well, it gets thrown out of the window all the time, and we see that with household finances as well. And, yeah, it seems like budgeting, a lesson we can learn from Congress, definitely an oxymoron here. But, yeah, it's a good rule, and the way you can apply it with your home finances is when you look to add some type of expense, agree not to add to your recurring monthly expenses. So if you do add a new recurring monthly expense, then something else has to be cut out of your budget to offset the expense.
Yeah, I guess governments can always get some more money through raising taxes, but we don't enjoy that luxury.
That's right. So if you receive a raise at work, you may want to allocate a small percentage of your new income to adding something to your household that would add value. Now, what you have to be careful of is there's a risk here of lifestyle creep, and that is when you're inflating your lifestyle to meet or exceed your new income. You have to tread carefully here because it seems like every pay raise, you're going to be raising the expenses in your household, and that could put you in a really tough situation later when you need to live on less in retirement. By implementing a pay-as-you-go system in your finances, you will not only avoid debt, but you'll be able to take pride in the things you do own because you'll really own them. They don't own you. And another way to outdo the government, have surpluses.
Casey with Hanghold Capital Management. And Casey, we talk a lot about the market, the stock market. We talk less about bonds over time. And it's something I guess maybe a lot of people don't know as much about. So a crash course on bonds. Hit us.
Well, first of all, understand the difference between the two. A stock, you're an owner in a company. I think most people understand that. And you're sharing in the profits and losses of the company. With bonds, though, you're not an owner. You're a loaner. You're loaning money to a company, and in return, the company's going to pay you a rate of interest.
So to a degree, it's kind of like a CD where you're, in effect, loaning money to a bank.
That's right. So a lot of people understand that concept. You give money to the bank, and let's say with a bond, you're usually loaning money in $1,000 increments, and they pay you a rate of interest, and they usually do that semi-annually, and the bond has a maturity date, and at that time, the company pays you back $1,000. Now, what's challenging for people, I think, when they buy a bond is they don't always understand the return they're going to receive because the bond itself they may see is going to be paying 6%. They'll see the stated rate of interest. But if you pay a premium for it, keep in mind in the future when that bond matures, you're going to get $1,000 back. So the way you calculate your interest rate is you look for the words yield to maturity. That tells you at the time you make the purchase what is going to be the rate of return on an annualized basis I'm going to receive on this bond investment.
All right. And then different types of bonds that are available. They would include what?
You've got U.S. government bonds that are considered the safest, down to different levels of foreign governments, to levels of corporate bonds, municipal bonds. These are tax-free bonds or for the public good. And so the longer a period of time, like a CD, the longer a period of time you're willing to lend money, typically the higher rate of interest you're going to receive, as well as the credit rating. The higher the risk that you're willing to take on, the higher the interest rate that you're going to be paid. Now, the reason you invest in bonds, though, keep in mind it's for cash flow. It's for the rate of interest they pay, but bonds provide stability to your portfolio, and they tend to not correlate closely to the